Good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel. This video is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research, make your own decisions. All right, guys, welcome back. So this video is going to be about AI on ICP, and it will be all over the place. Just heads up. I shared the interview with Eric Schmidt yesterday, and if you did not see the first 5 minutes or so, that's where he's discussing the functionality that I'm going to be talking about in this video. And it aligns to some degree with something dfinity put out 2 weeks ago. And I'll read this off. Upon verbal instructions, AI can create and update secure custom running web applications, not just write code. So essentially what we're talking about is each person having their own software engineer at their fingertips that can build them custom web applications on command in a couple minutes. Okay? All right. So up until this point, I've been looking at the web at the center of everything else, right? Like it's the main thing that really powers everything else. For obvious reasons, if we go back over the last 30 years, the internet has just consumed everything, right? Think about all the things that have become obsolete over the last 20 or 30 years just because of the web itself. But I think that for right now, it might be worth, and for the sake of this conversation, think about AI at the center of everything as opposed to the web. And the web itself and the framework, the infrastructure, all the software, more or less, the goal would be to create the most ideal technical framework and runway and network for AI to thrive and build the web of the future and the applications of the future. So, okay. If you think about when I started getting hit with a lot of oh shit moments was when I thought about the functionality that Eric Schmidt described. And I started applying, like, okay, well, let's just say this functionality goes live on the current version of the web. And I started thinking that all the way through. And the opportunities, the limitations, all the problems. And then I did that same thing with ICP, right? Um, the ability for AI to grow and develop and to create the most efficient web possible. Because in all reality, if you had the right technical framework, assuming, and guys, we're talking about AI and software, and the things that we're talking about are at a decent scale, and the scale will only grow. So understand there's an element of time here, but I think the goal is to have AI assist with and at some point create the most efficient web possible. But the right technical framework would need to be in place for that to happen. And if you remember, I'm going to try to make it's probably not a great comparison, but I'm more or less looking at, I'm more or less looking at canisters and everything with ICP's technology as the framework that's supposed to be kind of wrapped around AI to best harness it and use it most efficiently and effectively to build the web of the future. And when you compare and contrast launching these more advanced large language models on both, like if you look at it, okay, we're going to launch on the current web, and you can start seeing all the problems that would create, right? Because once application level development can happen within seconds, once you can build out numerous applications and the time it takes to do that essentially goes down to zero, and you can build out all entire ecosystems. The benefits that AI can provide to the web will largely be dictated by the technical framework around AI. Okay? Because let's just start with security. If you don't have a secure technical framework around AI, there's going to be a lot of problems, right? um, the different risks associated go through the roof, especially as everything becomes more dependent on AI, and especially as the threat of cybercrime goes up. And this is not the problems that we're talking about with the current legacy infrastructure. A lot of this can't be fixed by just a simple upgrade. There are inherent problems with just the way everything was designed. This isn't like an application level issue. This is infrastructure, network level, end to end. There needs to be huge changes just to accommodate AI. And I think the best technical framework to deploy AI on the web becomes the most efficient web. Because if you don't have that, you don't get there. And so I'm more so looking at this as a race at this point to create the best technical framework for AI to allow AI to help assist and ultimately create the most efficient web possible. But that can only happen under the right circumstances with the right technical framework, with the right solutions in place. And so you remember the movie The Dark Knight, right? They had this fusion reactor, right? And it was becoming unstable and at some point was going to blow up. And so just think about you have this infinite knowledge source, energy source that could really break the web in all reality. Let's go and think through that scenario Schmidt described. TikTok is banned in the US, and then a bunch of different people start creating TikTok clones, telling the large language model, steal the users, steal the videos, customize it, launch it. If it doesn't go viral in an hour, start over along the same lines. That's what he was suggesting to them. He was kind of saying it tongue in cheek, but it also kind of sounded like he was being somewhat serious. Let's just really think about that. I just see a web becoming full of spam, scams, bots, hacks. That that exact thing that he described sounds like a nightmare. Um, and even for anybody who were to do that and they were successful, they would immediately inherit tons of problems, tons, endless problems. And so I'm looking at the biggest thing being the technical framework for AI. Like whoever creates the best technical framework for AI, that will be the place where AI lives, because that will be the place where you can do the most with AI. Because if you launch all this new functionality, and I do believe that we'll see this functionality go live on the current version of the web, I think we're in a 20-year transition process. Now, I do just want to mention something. And again, this video is going to go all over the place, but even if I kind of, just check out throughout the video and miss a lot of things, I'm still just going to post this because I I can't get, but so, it's just the best I can do. But this was December 2021 and the bull case for ICP. And I see this as the new internet, and the old tech companies and platforms will be gradually phased out over the next 5 to 10 years where possible. Current tech will be a gateway to the new tech and then phased out. I think much of the architecture of the new internet has already been worked out. I don't think things of this magnitude are left to chance. And I don't think things of this magnitude, with AI being able to do this much, is going to be left to chance. If you just randomly drop the functionality and the technology that Schmidt described on the current version of the web, it's going to get really crazy. But it's also not sustainable. And think about all the entrepreneurs. Think about all the people. Guys, there's so many people that are consumed with artificial intelligence. And it's really interesting how the AI space and the blockchain space are very segregated, right? There's not a lot of crossover in conversations between those. Like for the most part, if you're looking in AI, you're looking in AI. If you're looking in a blockchain, you're looking in a blockchain. There's some crossover with the more technical crowd, but the spaces are very separated. And I see them as being married together. Um, and this was from Franklin Templeton, and I went over this not too long ago. But I think the winner in the web space will be the one who most effectively deploys AI on the web. Because if you have two options, right, forget about even with current network effects and all these other things. But ultimately, I think this was all worked out. I don't think things of this magnitude are left to chance. I don't know why they would be. And I haven't seen anything up until this point that would suggest to me that they're adopting the mindset. Well, it'll get figured out, right? I just there's too much at stake here. Yeah, there's too much at stake here. When applications and ecosystems, important point, when applications and ecosystems, when you can just tell an AI and then just start building applications, ecosystems in minutes, when that's possible at that scale, that quickly, I feel like the conversation, when application level stuff becomes that seamless, I feel like the conversation at that point changes to network infrastructure, technical framework level stuff. Because if application level stuff is that seamless, okay, well then that's no longer an issue, right? So what are the other issues? What are the other problems to solve for, right? And this is it. With the right technical framework, AI can develop the most efficient web imaginable. With the wrong technical framework, it can break the web. And what if, speaking hypothetically, because me personally, and I could be wrong, I could 100% be wrong. I'm just saying that I've been telling the same story for 3 years. Okay. And the last time I made a very, very, very big deal about some type of unique functionality was chain key. And guys, there are going to be people in the ICP space that just don't get it. Even though here's $1 trillion asset manager who's already using blockchain, right? And $1 trillion asset manager in the US openly saying, here's the projected growth for both of these technologies. And if you've been paying attention just over the last year or two, it does look like these are kind of a package deal, even though anything could happen. What if the big tech companies, among doing other things too, but what if they were primarily going to focus on creating the artificial intelligence? And what if somebody else was supposed to create the technical framework around it? That would make sense to me. And the technical framework more or less become an open public network that solves for a lot of the problems that weren't solved for on the prior version of the web. Because there's too many issues that the old version of the web, there's too many issues to even cover as this progresses with AI in this environment. Now, think about this, guys. So, still don't own your own data, not secure. There's no built in payment system. with instant settlement and micropayments. So you're going to be launching these AI models, and we're still going to be on the ACH account number, routing number. Settlement takes 2 or 3 days, even though that could be automated, and micropayments become. See, when you have AI models like this and spread out throughout the entire web, and so many different services are being ran by autonomous tamper-proof software, not by people, building in that payment system, instant settlement with micropayments, you're talking about accelerating economic activity at a level that we're just not able to see at this point because it's never been at that level. AI will make everything go exponentially faster. Payments will have to keep up. Everything will have to keep up. There's also no built-in governance system on the old model. On an on-chain model, you can distribute ownership of the AI models. It's also worth considering, guys, that the things that we're talking about are some of the biggest things happening on Earth, okay? And guys, outside of Neuralink and like stuff like what Ashton looks into, outside of that stuff, it's like AI and blockchain this is the big conversation right now as it relates to software, the web, artificial intelligence, everything. In the scenario Schmidt laid out, tons of people would be launching app after app until one goes viral, which probably would happen to some degree here, there, right? But it's okay. So that's the big opportunity. You're going to launch this AI model that can do. Think about how powerful that is. What he described, having everybody having their own software engineer at their fingertips, and then think about the utility that he described. Go create a quick clone of TikTok and steal all the users and data and see if it goes viral. And if not, scrap it and do it again and just keep doing that and just keep spamming the web. It sounds like more of the same. It sounds like we're all just going to get dumber, right? And that nobody's really going to benefit. And again, even if you win out of the gate and your thing goes viral, then you got the longest list of problems imaginable to keep that sustainable over time. However, if you had the right framework, the right runway, right, the right infrastructure in place to deploy AI to assist with the building process and to create the most efficient web imaginable, then you solve for all these other problems, right? Guys, intellectual property. And so, guys, when I talk about intellectual property, I want to make a very easy example, okay? Just think about, this applies to institutions and corporations and everything, but just think about something like Raoul Paul and his videos being cut up and then people sharing those videos on their channels and not referencing him, not checking with him, growing their own platform, their own audience based on other people's content, right? And so just think about it like that but with intellectual property, being able to tokenize and own these models, build in royalties for them, sell them to others, charge people who use certain models a small, tiny percentage for every single thing that it does for you. And this is all possible with micropayments and smart contracts. But Schmidt doesn't even get into the problems, right? He starts to towards the end, but he never really talks about solutions to all the problems that theoretically somebody would inherit if they did exactly what he said, and if by chance they were successful. Okay. Now to ICP, because guys, a lot of people just aren't going to get it. And a lot of people aren't going to get it because they don't do research and they live in this very limited world. Um, a lot of people in the ICP space won't even see this right now. I actually think a decent amount will, but let's really look at the things sitting here today, August 2024. Let's look at the things that suggest all this looks very realistic and the things that would suggest maybe not, right? So the team checks out, hands down. The technology and the functionality check out. And the stage at where we're all at, right? Like, look at where ICP ecosystem is today, right? Look at where everything with ICP is today, August 2024, with the ecosystem, right? A lot of very promising projects, right? You have a phenomenal proof of concept with OpenChat, Decide AI, right? And many other things like the Bitcoin integration. But in a general sense, they've spent a lot of time building out network level, right? And so that's where we are right now in September 2024. And now this is the time where the AI models are getting rolled out that can build applications in a minute, full applications in a minute, entire ecosystems. This is the time where it's getting rolled out. I couldn't think of a more convenient time because there just happens to be a full stack compute platform that solves for a lot of the problems that the old web doesn't solve for, that could use something like that to assist and accelerate development over the next however many years, right? And so the stage and everything, the timing that I've seen over the last like 3 years, like how all this is unfolded, it's all kind of aligned. The timeline itself checks out. They were building it for 10 years. That's another big thing, guys. When everybody has a software engineer at their fingertips, um, if you have a easily replicatable platform, I'd be sweating bullets, honestly, if you don't have a significant amount of network effects or some important differentiators. But that's the great part about ICP is the fact that they took 10 years to build everything out. The fact that they have their own hardware, and this is truly a sovereign network, right? You can't create another version of ICP in 30 seconds or a minute or 10 minutes or a month. Their connections check out, the patents check out, their sequence of development checks out. Now, I think that some of us, even including myself, but I think some other people in the ecosystem, even some of more the techie people, we don't know all the conversations that have happened that we haven't been privy to, guys. And in all reality, even though this space is made out to be a joke, but in my opinion, that's just all part of the deception. We haven't been privy to all the conversations that have happened with dfinity over the years. And let's go back over the last 3 years. Some of the path that they took to get to where we are, August 2024 or September 2024, the path that they took might not make but so much sense to people. And to a lot of people, it might not make sense at all. They might think that they should have gone a different route out of the gate. But if this works, do you understand the growth trajectory for canisters and the burn rate on top of that? When you have AI models running as AI smart contracts, building web applications, building entire ecosystems, the blue line more or less causing the red line or the green line to go like that. That's how I see this. Blue line going to cause green line to start moving exponentially faster. And so I'm starting to look at this as this is a race to create the best technical framework to deploy AI on the web. Irrespective of the infrastructure itself. Because there's one thing I'm very certain of. It's that, one, all the tech's moving forward. But with AI specifically, I have no doubt in my mind that AI is moving forward. And so I start thinking with, okay, how is it going to be deployed? What are the problems it creates? What are the solutions it presents? How are you going to solve for these problems? How are you going to best optimize it? How are you going to mitigate risk? All these different things, right? Partnerships with dfinity checkout. If I were to look at all of this without ICP, like this whole entire crypto space, if I were to look at all of it without ICP, my conclusion would be it's going to have a very hard time. I just don't get a lot of what I'm seeing. It's going to have a hard time scaling. And we don't really get to read, write, own. We get to better, more efficient payment system, maybe, right? I would assume, I would look at this and say, there needs to be something like ICP. So it fits. Like it, if you look at all the things that are needed in the space, it's like ICP fits perfectly. And so for me, when I'm watching this, most developer activity, right? Everything checks out. The things that don't check out, and I don't even look at these as things that don't check out. I'm just saying these are the things that hang people up: the price and the coverage. And so I've classified these. I use my own acronym: easily manipulated variables, EMVs. There is 100-to-1 leverage trading market, and it's been very skewed for there being net selling pressure coming from the leverage trading market, whether that's organic or whether that's, who knows. But so with price, there's a 100-to-1 leverage trading market that affects the spot price. So I'm not going to use that as a way to dismiss everything above, as a way to dismiss the only full stack compute platform that can run artificial intelligence without cybersecurity. Because you more or less are wrapping the AI with the software needed to most effectively deploy that AI on the web. And then the coverage. So all they had to do was manipulate prices. And it wasn't just with ICP, even though ICP had a harder road throughout most of the bear, but just over the last year, pretty much like many other alts. So all they had to do was manipulate prices, which they do with pretty much everything, and just the media not talk about it. That's all they had to do to hide this thing. That's it. And the answer is yes, because people are, and guys, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of y'all are wrong, but you're going to have to do better than that. Okay. If those are the only two things that are saying no, but the tech itself and everything else that I'm looking at is pointing in the right direction, then, and I do think that the reason why we're seeing so many shakeouts, and guys, I would expect shakeouts until further notice, okay? Until number go up randomly one day, I would just continue to expect more shakeouts. But this, I see this as the last cycle before they institutionalize the technology. And they start, yeah, the last cycle before they institutionalize the technology and start mainstreaming it. And more things start getting regulated. And that's why I think that, I mean, they're going to shake as many people out as possible. Last point. Research is always where it's at, guys. So I don't know where Decide AI is right now, just as far as like the price point and everything. I do have some other things to go over, but I'm just not going to, I'm probably already 30 minutes in. and this has been all over the place. I'm just going to have to post it because I can't do this again. I mean, I know this has been all over the place, guys, but I'm trying to explain why this is just inevitable, in my opinion. And the way that I'm looking at this point is the best technical framework to most effectively deploy AI on the web in a way that can best harness AI, utilize AI, get a return on investment with AI, protect IP, allow AI to grow and develop. The best technical framework for that wins, in my opinion, because AI is really at the center of everything. And so the software, the technical framework, the infrastructure will need to be able to support AI and to create an environment, a runway for it to build the web of the future, which it could build the most efficient web imaginable by every available metric, but not sticking on this version of the web because there are things inherent. I'm making one of the most important points at the end of the video where half people stop watching. It can't do but so much on the current version of the web because a lot of these issues are not like application level issues. You see what I'm saying? And so put crypto to the side. Just assume crypto is wiped off the face of the earth today. Sitting here today, guys, I would argue ICP is positioned. If they figure out how to do this, if they are successful with deploying AI, smart contracts, AI on ICP, and to the point to where these things can just start building entire ecosystems, then yes, I think it's over already. But we'll have to see it play out. Okay, we'll have to see it play out. It's going to take time. More infrastructure has to be built out, right? And there are still limitations with AI on chain. There are going to be limitations for a while. It's going to take time. Just the same way it took time for chain key to start coming to fruition to where we could start seeing it, right? And now you're starting to see things like TAP protocol, things like Omnity network, things like these other projects starting to get interested in looking into ICP because canisters just offer overwhelmingly more functionality than everything else. And on top of that, too, if they can be the thing that best harnesses AI, I don't see any other way. And so that's the video. And there will be other videos of relating to this conversation because I have a million different thoughts running through my mind. I just wanted to get that out. Not sure how, I'm not sure if this added any value or if this made sense to anybody, but it made sense to me. So I think it'll at least make sense to a handful of other people. That's all I have for this video. This was not financial advice. Take care. Have a good day. I'll see you in the next video.